Hello, my name is Mackenzie Nelson. I am a wife, a mom of 3, we homeschool, and I am a surface designer and artist. Today you're going to be watching me paint floral painting with acrylic paints on panel, and you're also going to hear a fun little story of an experience we had shortly after we moved here. We've had some kind of crazy experiences with the local wildlife, and some have included mice, geese, rabbits, and snakes. They're not all going to be told today. Today we are going to talk about the geese, and then we'll talk about the other ones at a later date. So join me, let's head to the studio. As I was saying outside, the purpose of this channel is to grow my art business. I really would like to share my art with the world and with anyone who really just enjoys my art. I've been painting my whole life basically, and it's time that I do something with it. And so that's what we're doing. Welcome to Mackenzie Nelson Art. We've played with the idea of starting a YouTube channel for a while and just starting YouTube video business. And a year ago, I felt like it was not possible to do right now because of homeschool and because of just everything going on in life. It's a very busy time in our lives. But I realized it's never gonna get much easier. It might once the toddler's a little older, but in reality, I think I could wait forever to start an art business and to start a YouTube channel. So we've decided to start now, and it's kind of chaotic, but I think it will work. We just have to keep trying and keep pushing through the difficult times because it'll work out. It'll work out. I started this painting out. First, I took the board, I think it's about a 16 by 20, and I put gesso on it because it was just a regular plain masonite board. I gessoed it, put a couple layers of gesso on that, and then I was going to sand it in between layers, and I forgot. So that didn't happen this time. I personally prefer painting on board. I last month pulled out a canvas that I had and started painting a landscape, an ocean landscape, and I did not like the way that my brush and my paint was reacting with the canvas and the movement. I hadn't painted on canvas in a while. And what I usually like to do before I start the painting is I like to put like an underpaint color on the bottom because it gives it, first of all, it's a little bit amateur if you are creating a painting and you can see little white spots of gesso showing through that where you didn't really cover the entire painting. And so putting an underpainting layer helps eliminate that issue, but it also helps to unify the whole painting by bringing all the colors together, especially if you're leaving intentionally little colors of the underpainting showing through. So after I did the underpainting, I picked a color to basically trace out the arrangement. And I picked like a dark green, but it didn't actually turn out well. I'm not gonna do that again. And I'll explain why in a second. But so I went ahead and I painted the underpainting, not the underpainting, I sketched out the floral arrangement with the kind of the deep green painting or paint color. And then I went ahead and started laying color onto the panel. So I first started out with, when you're painting something like this, you want to start out with paints that are generally darker because you're getting the shadows behind. And with a floral arrangement like this, you kind of have to think back to front. So you kind of start with florals and with the greenery that's kind of darker behind, and then you kind of bring the painting forward and you add colors later on top, like the highlights and things like that. So when we moved here about 1.5 years ago, it was the beginning of December. And it was about the middle of December when one evening we were waiting for Taylor to get home from work. And we the kids and I like to follow his location when he's coming home from work. And it's only about a 15-minute drive, but we get excited. We stand out front of we have this big window out in the front room so that we can see out to the fields and the road. And anyway, so we're following his location. And he was coming down the road, and he was about a half mile down the road, and then his location stopped and stalled, and he wasn't coming any closer. And so I thought, well, maybe he's talking to some neighbors down the road. I don't know. And so we're waiting, And then I see his location start moving again, and we said, okay guys, stand out the window and watch for Dad. And then when he comes around the corner, he comes and turns into our gravel driveway, and there is a gaping hole in his windshield about this big. And I instantly was like, oh my gosh. And Taylor looked at me and he smiled and waved, and I had no idea what to think. So he pulled in, he came down the driveway and came to the back of the house. So I ran out there, and he opened the door and he had a dead goose in his passenger seat. So basically what had happened was he was driving down the road, and about a half mile down the road, there were 2 geese that had just lifted off the ground. And we're talking like the big gray geese. What are they? I can't remember. Canadian geese. Okay. And like orange beaks. There were 2 of them. They had lifted off the ground and had just started flying. And he's in his big, 1996 Land Rover. 1997. He was in his 1997 Land Rover. They lifted off the ground and started flying towards him. And there were 2 of them, right? And one of them, like they were trying to lift off. They were trying to lift off. And he was going fast, just driving down this country road, and they just, bam, slammed right into him. The first one of them hit the top of like the top of the windshield, above the windshield in the frame, and dented that one, and that one died somewhere off on the side of the road. The other goose came crashing right through the window. Would you say it was like slow motion almost? Yeah. Like a pterodactyl basically flying into his car. And it crashed through the window, hit him in the shoulder, and then died in the seat next to him. Broke the beak and everything. And he had glass. Luckily he didn't get that hurt, but he had a couple cuts from the glass. And anyway, so when he got home, I think he was in a little bit of shock because, I mean, that just doesn't happen. Bird strikes in a car like that just don't happen. So Taylor is a pilot, and he trained for years how to prepare for a bird strike in the air, but never would he have thought that he would have ever encountered a bird strike in his car. So it was a very shocking thing for him. And with such big birds, they were huge. I mean, their wingspans are what, like 4 feet wide or something? I don't even know. But yeah, so he got home, we cleaned up the glass, he got the goose out of the car. Where did you put the goose?
Well, I pulled it out before.
Oh, right. So he wasn't, so I said that the goose, you showed me the goose, yeah. So he had pulled the goose out, left it on the side of the road. We joked about going and getting the goose and cooking it for dinner, but I am not that, I don't know how to pluck a goose and cook a goose for dinner. So unfortunately that goose went to waste, but I'm okay not eating roadkill, it's okay. So anyway, so he came in, we cleaned him up, he pulled his Land Rover into the garage because it had this big gaping hole in it, and it was winter, and let me tell you, he was so heartbroken, you guys. He absolutely loved that Land Rover. It was like his baby. I mean, I was almost jealous of this thing. Like, we're talking a couple years ago, I had a cake made with like an edible photograph of the Land Rover on it for his birthday. Like, that was, so he was, and anyway, so we got insurance involved and they totaled the car. Again, he was like devastated. So anyway, but we found the right people who could fix it up, and thankfully they were able to salvage it, and it, with the insurance money, we got some good insurance money for it, and he fixed up the car and made it better than it was originally with a few extra dents. So talk about making lemonade out of lemons. That was a great experience for us. It was real hard in the moment, but he got a better working car from that. So how does that tie into the painting? I'm still trying to figure that out, but I think the lemonade is gonna be what I've learned from this painting. So So the reason I didn't like how the color I chose for sketching it out is I found that with these acrylic paints, they're not as opaque as I'd like them to be. And so when I was trying to cover up the green acrylic paint sketch that I had done, it was really hard to cover, and that I found that very frustrating. So I'm actually in the process of looking for more opaque acrylic paints because I think it'll give the effect and the look that I want the painting to have. But for now, this worked out fine. I got the whole floral arrangement painted. I painted the bottom structure of the painting and the little vase, and in the end, the painting turned out okay. I actually will tell you though, it's not my favorite painting. So, but that's okay. I learned a lot from this painting, and I think that moving forward, I will keep some things the same, but I will definitely be doing some things different, like a different paint for the sketch, and then maybe a different color for the underpainting too. I'm not sure how much I like that salmon pink. It's kind of interesting. When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. So I'm still trying to figure out what that lemonade is with this painting. But it may just be the things that I learned I will apply to the next one. And I already have, because I've already started painting another one. Once I was basically done painting the painting, I let it dry and signed it, of course. And then I took it outside and I sprayed it with a varnish spray. So I put it in a frame, submitted it to an art gallery, did not get in. That's okay, we just keep trying. I'm not that surprised because it wasn't my favorite. But this painting will be for sale on my website if anyone would like to purchase it, the original and prints. So we will get those up there if they're not up there already. And if you love this painting more than me, then go ahead and buy it. It's all yours.